From the heart of Cul-de-sac to the halls of justice, today's guest is not just a success story. She's living proof of being powered by purpose. A proud graduate of the Sint Maarten Primary School and VWO at the Milton Peters College, she left Sint Maarten to pursue her studies in law in the Netherlands and graduated from the University of Utrecht. When she returned to Sint Maarten, she stepped right into the Public Prosecutor's office as a Parquet Secretaris. And today she holds one of the most serious roles on Sint Maarten, a role that protects the community, gives a voice to the victims, and upholds the rule of law. Now, what makes this story so powerful is not just the title that she holds, but the history that she made. This guest is Sint Maarten's first born-here prosecutor, rooted in her community and evidence that the next generation doesn't have to wait their turn to take the lead. Now, normally, public prosecutors and defense attorneys are built to go toe-to-toe in the courtroom. And trust me, this guest and I have had our battles in the courtroom already. But today, for ProSXMity's mission, we have declared a one-day only truce because we need more locals in key functions in the justice system of Sint Maarten. And hopefully, today's conversation will light a spark to inspire others to follow in her footsteps. Today, ProSXMity is proud and privileged to welcome Sint Maarten prosecutor, or if I have to give it the official name, Officier van Justitie, Royanna Baly.
Yes,
Welcome.
thank you. Thank you, Miss Barry. Thank you for having me here today. You know, when you told me about this, I told you, of course, I'm going to help you because I would love to always give back to my country, my home.
Growing up in Cul-de-sac, what values or experiences from that neighborhood still guide you today when you evaluate a case or step into the courtroom as a public prosecutor?
I grew up in Cul-de-sac, right across the baseball field. There's where I spent most of my weekends. Growing up here, you learn different things, you experience different things in comparison with my Dutch colleagues. When I evaluate cases, I look at it as this could be me, this could be my sister, this could be my family, a friend. So that I keep in mind, like, okay, what did they go through that made them do something, how they reached to this point. Being from here, growing up here, I see things just a little different than maybe my colleagues from away because they don't have the same experience of the island or know how the people are or why the people do certain things. So I wouldn't say because it could be an advantage, but it could be a disadvantage too, because sometimes I'm too busy putting myself in the, oh, but if it was me, or if that could have been my cousin, or that could have been this. I would say it's a give and take being from here and how I evaluate certain cases because I have more knowledge than on a colleague that came from away on how the people act here or why they do certain things.
When you look back at your time at Sint Maarten and MPC, were there moments or mentors that quietly steered you towards law, or did you desire to become a prosecutor from something else?
I would say from something else. There's no one at school. It didn't happen in school. I would say it happened at home. Like growing up, I always used to like to watch Law and Order. Crazy that you asked that question because in 6th grade, I had to do a project, and the project was what you want to be when you grow up. And you have to take the things from the newspaper. So I went to newspaper and looked for anything that had to do with law because I knew I wanted to be a lawyer. I had no intention, even when I went to go study, to become a prosecutor. I went with the intention to become a lawyer. It was in 2015 when I came back to do a summer job here at the prosecutor office. Well, I applied different places. I applied ombudsman, and here I got through. Here is when my mind changed and I said, oh, I would like to be a prosecutor. And the reason why is because being a lawyer, you feel like you're helping one person, just that client. But as a prosecutor, you feel like, even if people don't think so, you feel like you're helping the whole country. For a case, it affects one person, yes, but when you look at the globe, like a wider scale, it affects everybody, the whole island. And I wanted to really help my island. I feel like by becoming a prosecutor, I could help more people at once than just being a lawyer.
Leaving right after high school is a bold move. What was the biggest shift you experienced going from a small island classroom to a Dutch university lecture hall, and how did that shape your resilience?
The small classroom, you had a teacher in front and you could ask teacher, hey teacher, you have a question? You ask teacher, you could go in the recess anytime. You could be able to go and get answers to the questions that you have. And then when I went to Erasmus, because my first year in Holland was not success, I went to study law at Erasmus, and their curriculum was completely different to what I was accustomed to. You're sitting in a classroom with 700 other children for colleges, and then you had 15-minute pause to ask the questions what you have, or you could send an email. But you could imagine the teacher, if 700 children are sending an email, you're not going to get 700 answers. So often you didn't get answers from the email, and then you didn't have like class the way how we had class, like small groups. You had small groups, but in that small group you didn't have a teacher who actually studied law. It was kind of like somebody who worked at the school, and they were there to guide the conversation about the homework. And when you had a question, you had to go to the collegial or email the teacher. So that was extremely hard for me because I was not accustomed to that, because we are accustomed to just walking to the teacher whenever and asking a question growing up here. And that's also a reason why I did not continue. Well, besides I didn't get all my points that year, that's also why I didn't continue at Erasmus, and I went to Utrecht University, where they did have that classroom feel where you could have asked the teacher in the class a question. And smaller colleges are not 700, 300, I mean, still much different than the 25 what we are accustomed to. Yeah, that really made me, that shock of not being able to go to the teacher and ask when you have a question, whenever, that was really like I wouldn't say, I guess you could say, a culture shock for me.
Studying law can be demanding, as you just described, whether it's at Erasmus or at the University of Utrecht. And it's not just academically, but emotionally. Was there a moment during your studies when you questioned if this was the right path? And if so, what pulled you through?
Definitely had that moment writing scriptsy. That is I hate writing scriptsy. Toevallig, I had this conversation this week with colleagues, and I was like, that was the part that for me that I questioned my whole life. My whole life, like, this makes sense. I don't know, the whole writing the scriptsy, I felt like, what is the purpose? Because I am busy putting together pieces from pieces that people already write. So why do I have to write? Yes, it's my question, my onderzoek, but it's you all tell me to onderzoek. I don't want to onderzoek nothing. I just want to continue. I just want to study, make the test, and continue.
Yeah.
So yeah, writing scriptsy was the hardest part for me, and it made me question everything. But at the same time, I knew that if I did not write my scriptsy, then I would not be able to do what I wanted to do. So I just had to suck it up. It took me a year for tracking for my bachelor and a year for tracking for my master's scriptsy. 2 scriptsies I had to write. And both times I had a year for tracking because I really didn't like it. But at the end of the day, I knew that if I did not do it, then I wouldn't be here today.
Just out of curiosity, what was your master's scriptsy on?
De voorlopige hechtenis.
Oh, voorlopige hechtenis.
Yes, so de voorlopige hechtenis in het licht van het EVRM.
Okay, so you returned to Sint Maarten after your studies in the Netherlands, and you began working at the prosecutor's office as a pakketsecretaris. Can you explain what that function actually entails?
There is no formal English translation, so it would be assistant to the prosecutor, but then it sounds like you're going to get coffee and things like that, and it has nothing to do with that. It's basically you are the zaakskopper, you are the partner to the prosecutor dealing with a case, and the two of you all discuss. Of course, the prosecutor has the lead, but the two of you all discuss on what's going on with the case and what direction you want to go. You gave your opinion to the prosecutor, but then you are doing most of the paperwork. So all the subpoenas, the summons that has to be made up, you are doing the typing in conversation with, in overleg with the prosecutor. That's basically what a pakketsecretaris is. So you are the assistant in the sense of you are doing the paperwork, but you are, I would say, depending, because you have different prosecutors that look at a pakketsecretaris differently. I look at it as you're my teammate and we're together in this, and the two of us are going to get the end goal together.
Can you recall the first moment working at a prosecutor's office when you felt, I'm not studying law anymore, I'm living it?
Yeah. The first time that happened, it was a very serious case, and it was in one of my first piquettes, so where I was pakketsecretaris, and the prosecutor had gotten a call for a murder that took place or manslaughter that took place, and she called me like, you want to go to the payday?
Payday being plaats delict?
Yes, so
scene of the crime?
Correct. So when she called me, I was like, okay, like, you feel excitement on one hand because I've never been to payday, I've never seen a dead body that got murdered, anything like that. So it was like shocking, exciting, but at the same time, I know this is somebody's family member that died. So you can't really be excited to go and see. And that's when it really hit me like, this is real life, you know. For us, it might, you get in a little excitement because you have a little action, you have work. But at the same time, it's real life, because when you go to the scene now, when you're seeing the family members that are there and the real raw emotions, that's when it was like, this ain't no joke, this is serious.
As one of the younger faces in the prosecutor's office, I know you are well respected. But how did you navigate earning that respect and finding your voice among more seasoned colleagues?
It happened kind of natural for me, but at the same time difficult. The reason why I would say natural, anybody who know me know that as much as I like to laugh, I'm a very serious person. So when you look at me, you're like, oh, she look 19. But when you hear me talk and be around me, is like, oh, she's serious and she knows what she's doing. And that basically what happened on the job too. So the colleagues initially is like, oh, what she know, you know?
Yeah.
But then when you talk to me and we dealing with things, it's like, oh, but she know exactly what she's talking about. So how did this 19-year-old get all of this knowledge and stuff like that? So I think there is what it was for me. It came naturally, but at the same time, I had to prove myself in when I'm talking. Like, let me see what she's going to say. So of course, I wouldn't say I was challenged, but I was, oftentimes you asking me questions to see what I know. And yeah, I proved myself.
All right. On a small island, everyone knows everyone. How do you balance working as a public prosecutor in a small community with people that you probably know?
Now in my role as a public prosecutor is a bit difficult to go to the same places where I would have gone when I was studying, before I went to study, or even as a parquet secretaris. Because as a parquet secretaris, you're in the shadows. So nobody knows who you are. Nobody knows what case you're dealing with. So you could go anywhere and nobody don't know. But of course now, I've been in court. I've been different places and everybody know my role and know who I am. So of course, I can't go to the same places no more. And it's kind of difficult in St. Maarten because, like you say, the island is small. So chances are you're going Domino Pizza and you meet somebody that you had in court last week. Yeah, I don't walk out because at the end of the day, I know what I signed up for. It's a bit uncomfortable feeling, but as long as you treat people with respect, they treat you back with respect. You ask the judge, hey, I would like this person to be sent to prison. And now next week, we and you standing in Domino Pizza together, and you ain't gone to prison, so you're watching me, but at the same time, it's like, it's not personal. We all have a job to do, and I treat people with respect. And I feel like that's why to now, to this point, nobody has ever done anything to me or made me feel uncomfortable. I felt more awkward rather than uncomfortable.
If you had the power to instantly fix one challenge in the criminal justice system or procedures of St. Maarten, setting aside the prison, which is often the focus, what would it be and why?
I feel like we have limited resources here to help people in the sense of reclassering,
Probation.
or turning point, mental health. Because a lot of times people who commit crimes, they have a motive why they do it, but it's usually because of underlying issues, whether it is socioeconomic or mental issues or drug and alcohol use. Here on the island, it's limited what we can offer them in help. So even you see it, you read a probation report, and the probation report says mental health, or they should be opgenomen in mental health, MHF, but MHF don't have no place. Because of that, your hands are tied and you want to protect society, you want to protect the people, so then you have no other choice but to ask the judge to request a prison sentence. But we all know that besides the state of the prison, you're not going to get the help you need in prison. You need the help from a psychiatrist or a psychologist or whatever, medication. And while that still happens with the prison, it's not as accessible. Now you have to get the psychiatrist or the psychologist to go to the prison. It doesn't flow how we want it to flow. Same thing with Turning Point. A lot of people under the influence of something committing a crime, but rarely it's being dwang opname because we don't have no place. So it's a voluntary basis where they are outpatient. So you come voluntarily, but how many people want to go voluntarily? So if you had to ask me, if that's one thing I would like to fix, that those institutions, that they get expanded, that we are able to offer more. Because I think if we are able to offer more, then we would see less recidivism.
Where do you see the biggest gap between what the law says on paper and how justice actually plays out on our island?
In the books, law in the books, like they tell you, everything is possible. You have as much police, every instrument to use to solve a crime, all these type of things. You have a prison that could hold everybody. You have psychiatrists. You have everybody on staff in the books. In actuality, as we all know, we're understaffed on every front. Prison don't have space. The police, there is not much. We are limited in the forensic research we can do here. So that is the biggest, one of the biggest challenges. But life continues, crime continues, so we still have to continue. So that for me was one of the biggest challenges when it comes to what you learn in the books and how it goes in actuality, especially here in Sint Maarten, where we even more beperkt in what we can offer. But if it's one thing about Sint Maarten and Sint Maarten people, we know how to go with what we have. This is what we have, this is what we're going to do, so we can get it done.
In your eyes, what's one underappreciated part of the justice chain? Something most people never think about, but without it, the system would not work.
People. We need each other. No matter how we twist and we turn it, we need each other. Witnesses. I know a lot of people call them snitches, but I don't consider them snitches. Witnesses. We need it. Without witnesses, we would not be able to get where we want to be. The reason why I don't like, I have a problem with the word snitching is because today is me, tomorrow is you. Tell us what you see. While I know it's not easy because we live in a small society, we live in a small community. When I go and I tell on my neighbor for you, that's still my neighbor. I understand, but the neighbor did something to somebody else. Somebody else neighbor could do something to you too. You would like that neighbor to tell for you. That is very underappreciated because sometimes too, when you look at as a witness, you say, okay, you go on and you give your statement to the police. You say, okay, I finished. But then we have lawyers that then now harass the witnesses.
Okay, now see, I object. I object to the term harass.
And want
We're
them
critical.
And then want them to go again to the RC to tell a story. And it feels like, yeah, but I tell my story already. Why do I have to tell the same story? So then you get people say, I don't want to tell them more because it's not just a one-time telling. It's a continuous thing. But I want those people to understand that we appreciate you. And even though the lawyers might not appreciate you so much.
Oh boy. I feel like somebody's throwing shade directly at me, but go ahead.
We appreciate you and society appreciates you as well because you are not just helping your neighbor, you're helping everybody. Without you, oftentimes you would not be able to reach the end goal.
What's one misconception you would want to clear up today for the youth about what a prosecutor actually does?
The biggest misconception I think amongst the youth is all a prosecutor wants to do is, and that's not only amongst the youth, that's amongst people in general, all the prosecutor wants to do is lock up everybody. That's not true. During the investigation and when we are deciding, okay, what we're going to do, afdoeningsbeslissing like we call it, you look at what is necessary, what happened, what effect did it have, the person involved, and then you look for the right decision. So it's not always locking up somebody. Sometimes you want to provide the person with guidance. So then you take the case to court, or you take it to a tom sitting, which is where you speak to the parquet secretaris or a prosecutor, and you discuss the case with a probation officer there, and you decide, okay, what is the right punishment for this person? Of course, in most serious cases, the right punishment is prison because, yeah, if you kill somebody, you can't think that you're going to get fined. But we look at everything. We look at everything. It's not just locking up everybody. And trust and believe, it's not like we get joy out of locking up people. It's not a nice feeling, but you want to protect society, you want to protect Sint Maarten, so sometimes that's what we have to do. But we do not, that is not all. We don't get up in the morning deciding, oh, who can we lock up today? No.
Well, your answer to that question is a perfect segue to a section of this program I usually call a propeller questions. However, because we do have the Honorable Prosecutor in our midst today, we are going to have a twist to that segment. It's a skit, let's say, that I prepared specifically for this interview with two fictional characters named Jordan and Alex. After it's finished, we're going to have a discussion on this hypothetical case where you, of course, going to analyze the clip as a public prosecutor, and you could tie in your afdoeningsbeslissing ronde. Okay?
On me. Let's go. Australian. Pick a side to go.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Pick a side to get real. Switching sides, gotta keep receipts. In the field, it be getting loud. Gotta keep the heat. 100 mil, you can
And
buy
Jordan
mine.
would punch Alex in the eye
And mash up before.
and mash up his phone, run police, and file a complaint that Alex pushed me. And they arrest Alex. Alex with his swell eye and he lost phone.
Jordan went to the police first. So that's why Alex got arrested. It's now for Alex to tell his side of the story. And if Alex tell everything what happened based off of what Alex said, we will also arrest Jordan because we need to hear both sides of the story. And when we get both sides of the stories, it then is when we can decide what decision is right in this case. And after you see the clip, you're going to look at it as, yeah, but Alex should never be arrested. I understand that, but at that point in time, when Jordan went to the police, we did not have the whole story. So that's why Alex was arrested, because Jordan went to the police and said Alex assaulted him. He did not give the backstory on why Alex assaulted him. So then you can go into how long you can keep Alex. Well, when you hear arrest, it's not automatically you're going to sit the night in prison. You know, you can get arrested, you stay there the 6 hours, then they call a lawyer, the lawyer answers the phone.
Oh
and
my
then...
God. Oh. Remember, we have a truce for today. Today's a truce.
Sorry.
Okay.
You get a lawyer and then they answer questions and you can be released within the 6 hours. So it's not a guarantee that Alex is going to sit the whole night. And if we get a call, so by we, I mean the prosecutor that is on call, for me in this case, well, after watching this, I would be like, okay, yes, Alex pushed him, but Alex pushed Jordan, so he did assault him, but there is no need for Alex to stay 2 days for this, which is the EVS period. He can go home after being questioned. And now we have Jordan. After we ask Jordan, depending how bad Alex injuries were, is when we're going to come into the decision of, okay, do we keep Jordan for 2 days or Jordan also go home within 6 hours? But that plays a role in how bad Alex was injured. And if Jordan does this, of course, the person, if they are a repeat offender, if Jordan go around every club beating up people, that also plays a role in if, hey, we need to keep him a little longer to figure out what's going on there, you know, like, do we need to send probation office to go and have a conversation with Jordan before we release him? So those are seven, and within the 6 hours, you can get those things done. So that's where you would get the 2 days come in before we decide to send home Jordan.
Well, thank you for that clarification. It's always good to get an idea into how the prosecutor's office thinks about these type of issues. Let's say a 16-year-old at MPC today was to ask you, why should I even think about law? What story or truth from your own journey would you share to inspire them?
Why should you think about law? So lost from my own story, I would tell you it's diverse. You know, you don't have to study criminal law. You can go and study family law, civil law, notarial recht, anything, you know. So I feel like you have a lot more options. That's my opinion with law in general.
Rounding off our conversation today, if you could guarantee one core value was never lost in our community, what would that be? Something that makes Sint Maarten that we hope we never lose.
If it's one thing Sint Maarten show me throughout everything in this job, in life, is that no matter what, we can come back, you know, like it look like we down back against the wall, but we still figure out a way to get it done, regardless of what. You see our king come Nelly, wash us away, and we came back. You see, now in my job, you see the prison, Nelly bottom flat. But we're still doing work, you know, we're still getting it done. Like, no matter what, we don't give up. That's the thing, we don't give up. Certain people who don't never been in certain situations, when they see certain things, oh my God, this is the end. Nah. If it's one thing about Sint Maarten people in general, is even when it looks like it's the end, we don't give up and we come back.
Well, ProSXMity would like to thank you for taking the time to have this conversation with us today. I am super proud of you, and I know Sint Maarten also is super proud of you. Sint Maarten salutes you for your achievements thus far. Stories like yours give hope and light to our island. The ceasefire is now officially over, and I look forward to our courtroom battles going forward. Thank you.
No, thank you. Like I told you from the beginning, from when you came to me with the idea, I really like this. I really want to inspire all people, even people who here who don't consider themselves old people, but all of us here on the island together, so we got to do it together. So I'm very proud for myself, for you to be a part of this. Thank you.